All right, let's talk about one of the biggest game changers in the energy world right now. I'm talking about artificial intelligence. It's easy to dismiss AI as just another tech buzzword, but for power and utility companies, it's becoming absolutely essential. This isn't just a trend. It's a critical investment that's set to change, well, pretty much everything, from how the grid is managed to how you interact with your customers.
And we're not talking about small changes here. The scale of this shift is, well, it's massive. Get this. A recent survey found that power and utility execs are planning to crank up their AI spending by an average of 38% next year alone. That is a huge jump. And with that kind of money on the line, the pressure to make the right calls is, you guessed it, enormous.
So, that leads us to the big question, right? If you're in charge of that budget, you're looking at this tidal wave of AI options, all promising the world. Where on earth do you start? How do you figure out which projects are just hype and which ones will actually deliver real, measurable results? Well, that's exactly what we're here to figure out today. We're going to give you a way to cut through all that noise.
Okay, here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll lay out a framework for making smart bets. Then, we'll pinpoint your top AI opportunities. After that, we'll get into the calculated risks and the more niche gains. And finally, we'll wrap it all up into a simple roadmap to get you going. Sound good? Let's get into it. All right, Section 1, a framework for smart bets. Look, the secret to not wasting a ton of money on AI is having a really simple but powerful way to size up your options. And we can do that by looking at any project through just two lenses. First, what's the potential value? And second, what's the practical feasibility?
So let's break that down. When we say value, what do we actually mean? It's so easy to just think about money, right? Like increasing revenue or cutting costs. And yeah, that's a huge part of it. But real value is bigger than that. It's also about managing risk, making things safer and more secure. And it's even about hitting those important goals that aren't just about dollars and cents, like your sustainability targets.
Now for the other side of the coin, feasibility. This is the reality check. It's where you ask the brutally honest question, can we actually do this? And that means looking at the whole picture. Do you have the right tech and the right people? Is there real support for this inside the company, or is it going to be a constant battle? And what about stuff outside your control, like regulations? All of that feeds into feasibility. Okay, so here's where it gets interesting. Once you start using this framework to map out your potential projects, something really cool happens. A group of top-tier opportunities just pops right out. These are what we call the likely wins, the real low-hanging fruit.
And these likely wins, well, they're the absolute sweet spot. High value, high feasibility. Think about it. They're your best bets, especially for those first few investments. Why? Because they give you a fantastic return without a crazy amount of effort. This is how you build momentum, get people excited, and show some real impact fast.
So what does a likely win actually look like? Let's start with the customer side of things. We're talking about some real game changers here. Imagine chatbots that don't just answer questions, but actually solve problems on the spot. Or think about AI that sifts through call data, finds a recurring billing issue, and helps you fix it before anyone even has a chance to complain. See the difference? It's about getting ahead of problems instead of just reacting to them. Okay, the other big bucket of likely wins is all about operations. This is the stuff that happens behind the scenes to keep the lights on and make the grid safer and more reliable. We're talking about things like predicting when a piece of equipment is about to fail so you can fix it before it causes an outage. Or using AI to spot fire risks before they become a disaster, even optimizing pricing on the fly. And listen, these aren't just minor tweaks. These are major upgrades to how the whole system runs. Let's just double-click on that asset predictive maintenance idea for a second. The quote here says it improves reliability and reduces downtime. And that's exactly it. The magic isn't just about fixing stuff faster. It's about changing the whole game from being reactive to being proactive. When we can prevent those unexpected, super disruptive outages, that's a huge win for you, and an even bigger win for your customers. But let's be real. Not every AI project is going to be a slam dunk. So to really get the full picture, we need to talk about the other two buckets, the big, ambitious moonshots and those smaller, more specialized tools. Okay, so on one side, you've got your calculated risks. These are your moonshots. The potential payoff is huge, like totally transformational. But man, they are tough to pull off right now. Then on the other side, you've got marginal gains. These aren't going to change the world, but they're super useful for very specific, targeted improvements. Think of them as specialized tools for a particular job. Let's make this super concrete. A calculated risk.
Something like building a massive all-seeing AI that can detect complex security threats across both your digital and physical systems. The value there is off the charts, but the technical challenge, whoa, it's a big one. Now, a marginal gain may be an AI tool that helps you give customers a more accurate estimate for when their power will be back on. Super helpful for that one task, but it's not going to fundamentally change how you operate. See the difference? Both can be useful, but you pursue them for very different reasons. Okay, so we've got the concepts down. Now for the most important part, turning all this theory into an actual plan. Let's talk about how you build your AI roadmap.
And honestly, it boils down to a pretty simple 4-step plan. Step 1, figure out your goals. And please, don't start with the cool tech. Start with your biggest business headaches. What are you trying to solve? Step 2, use that value versus feasibility framework we talked about to evaluate your ideas. Step 3, and this is maybe the most crucial part, start with a likely win. Just get a success under your belt. It builds so much momentum. And then, step 4, once you've got that win, then you can start thinking about those bigger, calculated risks for the future.
At the end of the day, what's so powerful about this whole approach is just how clear it makes things. It takes you out of the business of just chasing shiny new tech and puts you firmly in charge of making smart, strategic decisions. It's basically a visual guide that helps you weigh the potential upside of an AI project against the cold, hard reality of getting it done. So as we wrap this up, the big takeaway is this. The future of the energy industry is being built right now on data and intelligence. The choices and investments you make today are going to decide who the leaders are tomorrow. So the only real question left is your strategy ready for that future?